Hope I didn't forget anything. That'd be really awkward. Oh. I gotta do that. But do you wanna like... There we go. I'm sitting here like, oh, right. It's... Just fighting with Discord. Fighting with technology is one does. You get it right. It'd be a lot easier if my phone was always at the same spot. But it's not. It's really not. Boop. Cool. And no, not drafts. Not drafts. Not drafts at all. Right. So we got the corporate stuff out of the way. I love it's weird seeing the bitrate be green. It's also weird seeing the bitrate on Twitch say that it's 5300 and then the bitrate coming out of OBS is 6300. Which is weird because it's set to 6000. Unfortunately, there's no translator that comes natural to, you know, tell you exactly what's going on at the deck in a moment. Again, dealing with technology is... What the heck is on my keyboard? How is there a piece of chip? Okay. I'm not sure how that happened, but sure. Please? Please come out. I'm sorry. There we go. Anyway. Oh, piece of chip and a chili seed. We're living large. Anyway, yeah. Tech and anything medical. Diagnosing them is basically the same. Could be any number of things, and you don't really know without knowing about 5 other different things at the very least, which could also be influenced by a couple dozen other things. And it really all just kind of depends on if the sky is purple at the moment, sort of feel, you know? You get me? Why you get me? I've literally never said that in my life. Anyway. Today is... well... more laid back day. I was gonna say chill day, but it's very much not chill. It's the definition of not chill. It is about 90 degrees outside. I don't exactly have air conditioning. Hence the fan you can probably hear off to my left. So, yeah, I'm not a fan. It sucks. I'm also probably slightly dehydrated because it's hot at night. Like it gets to be 10 o'clock and it's still like 75 degrees at least. Probably warmer because there's no way to really get the hot air out of my room. The fan's trying its best, really. But, well, it's just kind of a little cooler right behind the fan because it sucks in the air and then shoots it out the door. But, yeah. Also, I forgot to open the window as wide as I usually do to, you know, let in more cold air. So that was not ideal. Last idea, Twitch, explain to me how you're saying 4,900 kilobits per second for bitrate, and it's green when that is 1,000 below what OBS is putting out. So I wonder what the hell's going on there, because OBS had an update, and as always happens with anything that is updated, it probably broke something. Whether it's actually 6K bitrate, I don't know. No clue. And it's just reading for it in Twitch, but then surely it would. Twitch is just saying, oh, this is what we're receiving, so then is OBS not putting out the amount that it says? Because I checked before the stream, and first off, it changed to my recording settings, as in, like, when I try to go record a video. I know, it hasn't happened in, like, 3 centuries or something, but it's probably a good thing, because they were at 2,300 kilobytes per second. 6,000 kilobits per second is considered low for 1080 FPS. 1080 60 FPS footage. It's technically like the mid-range, but like 4,500 is. You can sort of see that that's something, like that might be a tree, or it's a really large bush, or it's actually just an odd-shaped building, or it's actually just a picture on the side of a building, but you can't tell because it's so pixelated. It's a great time. Oh, this... whatever the heck you call updates on Twitch cannot come fast enough. Higher bitrate, better, well, 265 encoding period, which will be great for me, because I don't have an NVIDIA card. Granted, the 264 encoding on the 9000 series AMD cards, because I have a 9060, is much better. Hilariously, AV1 is way worse, but 265 is still good. Probably. Again, I haven't recorded anything recently, but I put out some shorts, and that's what I used to encode it. So. I also had to install VLC, whatever, I almost said Audio Notes, the player, because why would that come free with Windows? No, it doesn't know how to encode that, or read the encoding, and I'm not paying the money for it. Screw off. It'll probably be free soon anyway, so, you know, why bother? There's already a free one, even if it does do weird things when playing back in terms of the size of the window. But that's mostly me not knowing the settings and how to finagle with everything yet, so yeah. Getting there. I'm not tech illiterate, but, you know, I'm not exactly a tech guru either, so, yeah. I love how I mouse over the bitrate instead of like, wait, sorry, no, 5900, you're right. Sorry, Queen. I mean, I was just joking. Technology. That's never getting any better, let's be honest. More powerful, sure, but better? More reliable? Probably not. C'est la vie. But yeah, today, relaxing day, a yapping day, because, surprise, I've been doing a lot of thinking lately. This happens when you have nothing to do but think. You'll never guess what the topic was. It starts with con and ends with Asian. It's 2 words. Who could have thought? Yeah, it's content creation, again. Specifically what the hell I want to do. It's like I have a general idea, but then my stupid ADHD brain keeps fixating on the wrong parts. It's just like, no, please. Please. You can do it. I believe it. No. No. Because for the longest time, my brain was convinced that it just had to be something gaming. And it was like, no, but actually, everyone seems to like the just chatting stuff, but then it's like nothing really. Well, nothing's taken up yet. I mean, heck, the last couple of streams, the VODs at least, don't even have any views. Which was weird because the ones before that, it went up to 22, which I know is not a lot, but hey, when a literal nobody, it's, it's more than 5. And then dropped off to 4, and then 000. So it's like, but why? There's not an easy way to get that information. I mean, there's the obvious, well, obviously it's not good. It's like, well, yeah. But that's kind of subjective in the first place? I don't know. So, figuring things out again for the, like, 14th time. It's like the 3rd time, realistically, but... You know the saying. You know the saying. Okay, I'm not gonna bother. Anyway, so I've been thinking about that. Because part of the issue, or the majority of the issue, is a lot of what I played was FPSs. And there's not... Okay, it's a two-part problem. There's none that are out that are good that I can also do content for, because the system requirements are too high, so then I can't do it. I could probably record some of them, but can't stream them. Streaming is kind of my most favorite part of this whole process so far, because I can't do the other thing that I want to do, which is 3D animation, because again, say it with me. System requirements. I don't know if you've tried editing on like a low-end PC, but I remember the horror times of trying to edit on, well, now it's a really old laptop. Now it's an ancient laptop, but in general, run-of-the-mill laptop at the time. I think it had an i5. Might have been an i3 actually, but point is, not the greatest. When you're like, this is the part of the video where I want to make a cut, and then it skips generous here 3 frames for it, and you're like, thanks. It's fantastic. I'm not at all picky or specific or prone to perfectionism, so it's fine. It's totally fine. Which is the other issue with content creation, is you can't be a perfectionist and actually succeed in it, realistically. Because for each topic you could do, what perfection looks like for that is different, and it depends on how you compose the video, how you record it, how you edit it, the audio, the general theme of the video. Even you wouldn't cut up or plan out a League of Legends video in the same way you would a Valorant video. Made by the same company, but they play completely differently. Surprise, I know, one is a MOBA, the other is a first-person shooter, but you take my point. Oh. Random chili for lunch. Okay, cool. I don't remember the name of this house, but it's like a... it's mostly sweet. It's supposed to be a little spicy, technically, but... as with anything that is... spicy, I guess. It kind of depends on A, the company, and B, the chilies they get at the time. Because sometimes they're spicy, sometimes they're not. Especially if they're trying to be more generally palatable to the masses, if you will. I tend to really like spicy foods, so it's not much heat. Which is a thing, I suppose. Anyway, what was I talking about? League versus Valorant. Right. So what I've... long story short, I guess. What I've mostly landed on is... obviously I need to do something that I enjoy, as much as my brain is tempted to go, well, this is technically more likely to do well. It's like, but I don't want to do it, so it won't. Who wants to watch someone do something that they don't want to do? Nobody. And you would be able to tell. I know you would. Much as people like to think they're not perceptive, that sort of thing is just natural human intuition. It's the survival mechanism. So... just... well... you may not consciously be aware of it, be like, I don't like this, and you'll click off. I have enough debuffs, I don't need to add to them. Yeah, cognitive dissonance. This keeps coming up with my life. Yeah. Maybe I'm just extra biased, but I know the voice is probably part of it in some cases. Not even just people being transphobic, but just see one thing here, other brain is unhappy. In the same way that if you were to bite into an apple and it tasted like a peach or an orange, your brain would be like, I don't like this. It's not bad, technically, but it's not what you were expecting or used to from said package, I guess. Voice is the thing I wanted to work on anyway, and I have made progress with it. But the problem is that whenever I tense up in, like, I don't know, the shoulder area, that affects how I sound. And I tend to do that whenever talking on stream, or recording for that matter, because I'm aware that it's going to go up. And I am inherently somewhat shy. Part of that's confidence issues. Other part of it is just overthinking things, probably. There's no easy fix. It's kind of just gotta do it and get comfortable with it, which I guess is one upside to not having a large audience, or audience period. But there's a couple of you. Some you don't show up because of time, because I have jumped everywhere when I stream. But that's also part of content creation, is a lot of experimentation. It's very easy to feel stale, especially if you have ADHD. And while I don't generally know what I like doing or what's going to work until I've tried doing it. So if I tried like 10 o'clock, it's not most of the growth that I've had when streaming at that time and playing War Thunder. Which one was the deciding factor? Who knows? neither one is really happening regularly. Or potentially ever. We'll see. Depends what happens with my schedule, which involves a lot of things outside of streaming and content creation, but also is impacted by streaming and content creation and how that goes. So, you know, everything is connected. Hmm. Hmm. Right. And then I think I tried 2 o'clock at one point, which is kind of where I've landed. But at that time, I was still trying to stream like 5-6 hours at a time. And I have to had to feed the dogs at 5 because that's how the schedule was working out. I swap off my mom because unemployed. Yay. Also, just there's a lot of issues that I don't think anyone really wants to hear have dumped on them, so we're just gonna leave it there. Suffice to say, things happened. Stuff occurred. We're moving on. Maybe it didn't really matter, right? But I kind of felt like stopping like 3 hours in and having like a 15-minute span where it's just nothing happening killed a lot of potential growth. It's not great, it's not ideal for sure, but probably didn't have a huge effect considering wasn't really anyone there in the first place. Sure, it could be argued that someone who would have stayed won't stay because they came in at during the time frame and whatever, blah blah blah. If you start getting into that sort of mindset and you will be in decision paralysis, my friend. You will do nothing for fear of missing out. FOMO. Then I tried 5 because I was like, okay, we'll do it after I feed dogs, right? And then now I feed the dogs in the morning, so I can't stay up super late, which means I don't want to stream later because it just feels cramped. My brain doesn't like that. I don't like being pressured into doing things. Even if it is something I want to do or would otherwise do. Feeling like I have a large time constraint just instantly makes it less enjoyable. So here we are. 1 to like 2. Because I tend to wake up at like 8:30 to feed the dogs. And then for, I don't know, probably depression reasons, not really doing anything for like 3 hours after I wake up. I did mow the lawn today, so there's that, but I don't really feel awake for 2 to 3 hours after I wake up, which means I don't feel like doing anything, which includes eating. So then I have to eat, shower, that's like 12 o'clock then. And then I have to start like figuring out what I want to do for stream because why would I make myself my life easier by being able to plan for it, which I couldn't do because then I wouldn't really be interested in doing it because I'd want to do something different by the time I started streaming if I tried to do it days ahead. So all for important stuff, right? I don't know what important stuff would be. I don't have anyone to do collabs with really because that would involve reaching out to people. This is a funny joke. No. Also because like I'm sure most people would just randomly reach out to people who like they seemed as though they would enjoy doing stuff with, like they're just in the general sphere of whatever it is that they do. Because A, they probably have more of a sphere that isn't mystical, mythical, or competitive, which is what I do. Because that's all the things I'm interested in. And I like being... This is an autism thing. I like giving all of the information. Because in my mind, that is the only way for you to make the best decision or an informed decision, and you have to have all of the information to know. So it does also just come off as incredibly vague, but it bugs me if it isn't at least mostly descriptive in terms of what can be expected. It's probably fine, but it's like 7th iteration for the about section? Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Oh yeah, so that is roughly where that stands. I start streaming from like generously 12 o'clock to 3. You get like a 240 today because the part of this is the heat, but also just my brain kind of likes being awake at night because it's very peaceful. It's nice. It's not dead quiet, but it's not super loud or bright. Some people might find it oppressive, but I guess it's probably also autism. Just less going on is very nice. Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. I was wondering why. It's funny how sometimes I just don't think about a thing super hard. What? No idea what that would be. But anyway, moving on. Super hard. And suddenly it's like the answer just jumps out and slaps me. There we go. Slaps me in the face. Like, oh yeah, of course, that was the answer. But if I tried to think about it and focus on it, I'd be like, I have no clue. It could be anything. Which is also a problem I had with writing essays in college, which I never finished because, well, mental health issues. Too many options equals I can't pick one. Which brings us back to content creation issues. Every time I have a Just Chatting stream, I swear this is all I talk about. I would like to do other stuff, but it feels like a complete waste because I want to do stuff that would be interactive with chat. There is no chat. Then it just feels disheartening and I don't want to do it. And it feels like it was wasted, so then I don't want to do it again in the future. Is it annoying to deal with? Yes, but all I can do is work around it. Brain doesn't hope going anywhere. Kind of need it, so yeah. Eventually I'll find people to do stuff with. Eventually. Such is how my life works. I don't usually get what I want, but I tend to get what I need when I need it. Which sucks in the interim, but it works out in the long run. Sometimes it is as simple as just going, yeah, no, I'm tired of this, and then I actually do something about it. Which would be nice to do all the time, but hey. Only so much mental energy, so I try. And, well, yada yada, there's no try, only do. It just means you make the attempt. Sometimes you fail. And that's fine, because you can learn from failure. And yeah, part of me also just... Okay, for instance, streaming, right? Am I actually entertaining? Do I actually do any good? I don't know. On one hand, there's no growth. So part of that, for sure, is the lack of any real direction. I tend to just do whatever I feel like, which has changed multiple times as I thought I knew what I wanted to do and it was not what I wanted to do. Again, the most growth that I've seen was when playing War Thunder 3 days a week, which I can comfortably say I don't want to do. Maybe if they fix Naval, I'll be more interested. But I think another part of that was, again, trying to play 5 hours of War Thunder 3 days a week, which is not something I would inflict on anyone. I think that is a horrible thing to do to somebody, and maybe should be added to the Geneva Convention, because it's kind of just psychological torture. But it's just a fact that consistency, which at the time my brain took to mean doing the same exact thing, is very important to building an audience of people who enjoy it, especially on Twitch, because the more people you have in your chat, the more likely artists have other people see your stream and then grow, because then they click on you. If you have like 30 people click on your stream over the course of a 3-hour stream, if you're not doing something super attention grabbing, maybe a couple stay for a bit, and then their favorite large streamer comes on and they click off and they forget you existed. It's very difficult to grow from 0 viewers on Twitch. Honestly, the worst thing you could do if you were looking to actually do it as a career. Unfortunately, I like streaming, so even though the right thing to do would probably be to stop streaming and just focus on YouTube content. Yeah. It's not how things work out. Part of that's me being stubborn, the other part is I just like streaming. It's way more fun than video editing. Although the end product of video editing can be very satisfying. It is a lot of tedious action and repetitive going over things and re-listening and then listening again and then tweaking things slightly and then doing it again. And I very much look forward to having someone else do it for me. For, you know, the basic stuff. Because I do eventually want to get into... I guess the end-to-end goal would be having my own show, I suppose? I like telling stories. I kind of suck at verbally telling stories, but I like putting together stories. I mean, heck, one of the main reasons I got into content creation was machinimas, right? And red versus blue, stuff like that. This is the main reason why I wanted to do it. I saw those and I was like, oh, that looks like a lot of fun. I get to tell a story. And then we come back to system limitations as far as the software and rendering and a lot of things. You probably do pretty decent with rendering because the 9060, if you aren't stupid, has 16 gigabytes of RAM. Don't get the 8 gigabyte version. It is not sufficient. Nor is the card powerful enough to really do anything with that. If it were more powerful, then it could still do more, but it would be less efficient than just having more RAM. I don't know all the specifics, but I know that much. That means don't ask how powerful is powerful, because I don't know. I just know the more powerful card could do more with 8 gigabytes, because that just makes sense as basic logic and math, which I don't like. So we're gonna move on. Unlike Alto, I do not enjoy math. It is not my thing. No. No, I'm good. Thanks. I swear my chair keeps moving. Which means that I change where I'm looking at the screen. And I'm sure you know, me looking off to the side like this and just talking looks super natural and makes sense, right? No. But yeah. more on the subject of content creation, which is not where I left off. I mean, it was content creation, but it wasn't where I left off in content creation. I'm aware, I just don't remember where I was. I was recently reminded while watching a reaction to Lupa's trailer, of all things, stuff that I had already learned about photography but forgot, which in this case is the rule of thirds. Yeah. One of the classes that I did take in college was photography, and I've been doing photography for a very long time. Used to have a really nice camera, and then didn't touch it for a while and had forgotten to take the battery out, so that corroded and it died. Sad. But I still tend to take pictures in the games that I played and whatnot, especially stuff like Wuthering Waves or Assassin's Creed Shadows. Anyway, the rule of thirds. If I had any way to do it, I would do a visual representation here, but if you look at where I am currently, just here, hey, this would be like the first third. Just imagine a line pretty much straight down through the middle of my face and body, and then put that to roughly like I can't really point that far, but kind of at the edge of where the chat box is. And then that's your thirds. It also does that top to bottom, but you know, we don't need to get into that. It's something that I kind of just forgot consciously, but still sort of did, but then was like unsure why. You'll generally notice that with any picture, it looks a lot better if the rule of thirds is followed than if it doesn't. Portraits are an exception. That is because in a portrait, you have one specific thing that is the center of attention. I know what you're thinking. No, that doesn't work here. It would look very weird if I just sat directly in the center with the chat box right next to me. No. It would maybe be better if the chat box was slightly larger, but kind of my sense of size in there is kind of skewed because I'm looking at the OBS preview. Even if I had the stream open, it would be a lot smaller. What the hell did I just click? Probably gonna hear me for a second. I apologize. Probably gonna hear. No, you didn't actually. That is quite fuzzy. Like, yeah, not loving the bitrate. There's something weird going on there. I don't know. Because like to me, crystal clear in the VTube Studio, right? And even OBS. The OBS looks 1,000 times better. I think it's time to cut off a couple of those. English was good. I'll get rid of those too. This leaves me at 5. I am down for that. Okay, cool. So, I don't know. A, first off, why everyone's obsessed with this horse game. B, How would I change that? Can I change that? Because it says the quality is 1080p 60. And the viewport resolution 1340 71. It frames 117. Yikes. Buffer latency to broadcaster 2 seconds. Not bad. AVC1. Which is probably part of the issue. Oh no. Weird. Ad stats, yeah, that's really relevant to my stream. For sure. It's not. Ugh. This is the thing that I hate, right? This is like really discouraging because it's like, what do I do? I can't change the quality. It just is what it is. That's where it gets a lot easier to just not think about it. I don't know. Let's re-downsize my window real quick. Okay. So, yeah. Welcome to... Oh, that ADHD or autism. One of the two. Getting hung up on things that you want to change but can't change and can't control. Classic. Truly a classic. This is why I like playing games. For sure, I have no idea how to turn the content for a lot of the part because I don't really like super fast cuts because I really like context. Surprise, autism, I know, but also being 100% entertaining and like huge. I'm not calling me out. What is the word? I can't think of the word. Basically being entertaining the entire way through of a long uncut video is very difficult. It's very draining. So I've kind of, to get back to the original topic, I guess, landed on I'm going to need to do some edits, obviously, but I shouldn't try and do anything fancy because never in my life has that been my style. I played hockey, I didn't do nothing fancy, but I didn't do fancy stuff for the sake of doing fancy stuff. I tended to go with KISS model. Keep it simple, stupid. Do something simple really, really well. It's not going to matter if it's simple, you'll still be able to achieve what it was you're trying to achieve. This is my style. I suppose in hockey terms it would be, instead of like trying to do a between the legs deke, just pump fake, pretend you're going one way, go the other, and because you do it really well, you accomplished what you wanted to. You got past them, you got the space that you needed to do whatever the hell you wanted to do. Shoot the puck, pass the puck. You get the idea. This still doesn't solve the whole having too many ideas on what I want to do for a video or could do for a video, and therefore doing nothing for a video. Hmm. Yeah. That and lack of confidence, second guessing is very easy. Which is a problem, because again, consistency. Speaking of consistency. Hello, Vertex. How goes life? Hopefully well. But, you know. We can wish for many things. That does not mean that we will receive them. For better or worse. Don't I know it? How to find the most beautiful artifacts in the world. Okay, you've been taking lessons from Panda, I see. Also, technically Fox have undisclosed species? That's not the right word. Genus? I don't know. I don't have any idea. I mean, I do, but I don't remember because my brain is very selective. And prone to blinking, apparently. I don't know why. Okay, that's not fair. My eyes aren't closed. That's just you being racist. Okay, facial tracking, I need you to stop. Thank you. Been working hard, now a teacher at a public school. So you totally... What do you mean by that? I feel like it's a translation issue, but I'll take it as actually teaching, or like really teaching a lot? Teaching all the time. Probably, I like that. That feels the most correct. Teaching all the time. And yeah. I actually, well, no, I have some idea how French public schooling goes, but not a lot. I don't know about the rest of the world. Weird, I know. Not really, I mean, it's kind of an odd topic to randomly research on the internet, so... Not that weird, but... Still not something that I've looked up. So 24/7 you have to maintain respectable teaching margin. Okay. Yeah, that's... That's something that I kind of, like, knew, but hadn't really thought about. It was like, kind of like, oh yeah, the sky is blue, and then you, like, sit there and you realize, oh wow, that's like a really... Is this shade of blue? It's like, yeah, you actually stop and think on it instead of just acknowledging it. Well, you acknowledge it instead of just thinking it. But yeah, when you... I guess it's the same for a police officer or a firefighter or whatever. Because, you know, when you think of firefighter, police officer, teacher, there's a certain attitude and, I guess, carriage? Is carriage the right word? That you expect them to have pretty much always. Soldiers do, I guess, but... Watching Lady in the planning hours. Baking classes for 2 months a year. 2 months. Ah, the idea of planning 2 months ahead for just general daily life hurts me significantly. So anyway, baking. Anything exciting? And technically it's baking, so like it could all be considered exciting, but you know, there's making bread for normal day-to-day stuff, and then there's making, I don't know, cake or cookies or something. For random reasons, biscotti. Even though I don't think I've ever... No? No, I made biscotti in one class. One home ec class. We moved to Scotty. Enjoying yourself is a good thing. You are correct. A lot of people didn't do it. My mother being one of them. They tend to try and fill way too much into their day and do way too much instead of going, okay, here's what I can accomplish, and I'll also leave a little time to de-stress so that I don't feel like bashing my head into a wall when I inevitably don't finish everything that I tried to, you know, fit into the day that was physically impossible to finish it all in. Teach and reinforce what you learned at university. There's a saying. I had it. Now it's gone. It's just gone. Well, the general gist of what I was trying to get at is one of the best ways to learn is to teach. Because you'll find yourself considering a lot of things you didn't consider before. Because, I mean, everyone has their own way of doing things, right? Doesn't mean that everything else is wrong, but you don't really consider the ways that would work for someone else or why until you have to teach them. I'm very busy. Everyone but me, apparently. Some people say that's a good problem, but no. I kind of like having stuff to do. Not too much. Like at least having something that I'm working towards. That said, I've gotten used to doing not a lot, which is a slight problem. That is not super easy to fix when it comes to just having the mental energy to do stuff, but sleepy a little. Partially because I don't know why. I guess no, I do. I've said a lot of times that I find the late night hours to be rather relaxing and stress relieving. And by late hours, I mean like 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock in the morning. So whenever I am stressed about stuff, which trying to figure all this out happens a lot, I tend to not go to sleep when I want to, which is like 12, because then I have to get up at 8ish to feed the dogs. And so then I get like 5 hours of sleep. And so that was not last night, although I didn't go to sleep quite when I wanted to, so it was a little late. But the couple of days before that was like, well, it was 4 o'clock, almost 5 o'clock, and then 3 o'clock, and then 2 o'clock. So we're working backwards, we're getting there. But yeah, also it's hot, and I don't love the heat. Again, there's only so many layers of clothes you can take off before, well, there's no more layers of clothes, and also people start looking at you funny, so, you know. That, and anyone who's ever had to try and sleep in hot weather, I'm sure you're aware it's not super enjoyable. It just doesn't feel right. Especially if you're not used to that. If that's not your norm, then even more so. And as I said to Alto earlier, I kind of just feel like I'm melting in anything above 60-degree weather, so 90 degrees. Not my comfort zone. No. Very much not my comfort zone. I'd care less if I had air conditioning, obviously, but I don't. Because A, it costs money. B, I don't know if I could run it and any other. Okay, we've been over this. My bathroom, my room, the kitchen, and the living room are all in the same circuit for some unknown reason due to an incompetent electrician. So, can't run a lot of things at the same time. Can you stop studying English? Yeah. There are only so many hours in the day. Fun fact, the more, what is the word? Not mentally challenging, although technically that is at its base state true. The more brain power required for your job, the less that you tend to have to use in your free time, which is not something I knew until I played on a hockey team with someone who was a nurse. Like, it's not like you're stupid or anything, but you've spent so much time thinking about things, your brain is like, please stop, I don't want to do this anymore, can we just relax? Eat sushi. Never had sushi, not really. I had sashimi once. Sashimi? I don't remember. I don't know if inviting someone to play League of Legends is help, but please don't. That hurts. On one hand, it can be fun. On the other hand, it cannot be fun. What foods do I like? I am partial to Thai food. A lot of people are, to be fair, but my grandma's Thai, so whenever we'd go, we tended to have that. And she knew where the good places were, so that's even better. Or she made it. But she only usually made omelets, which Thai omelets different from Western omelet. Same basic idea, but very different flavor profile. Very good though. Then probably Italian and Mexican. And that's really the only things that I've had regularly. Greek is okay, but it's not a favorite of mine. I haven't had a lot of Peruvian food, although I do like picante de carne. So there's that. Spicy foods. Especially I think Peruvian foods, they do tend to use a lot of bread or wheat flour and stuff. That isn't a rice dish, so can't have that. Questions, what kind of tacos do? I guess mostly carne asada. Very basic. Mostly Chilean food now. I don't think I have ever had Chilean food. I don't think I even saw anywhere around in California when I did live there. And if I was going to find Chilean food in the US, that's probably one of the few places I'd find it. But I also wasn't looking for it, so I'm sure it's there. This is not where I was. Ooh. What about you? What's your favorite food? Other than obviously some type of baking, because I mean you're doing it. Probably not just for fun, but Cook her food for my country and bring her wines. I don't really drink for a couple of reasons. One, don't feel like it really. I tend to eat and drink based off of whether I like the taste more so than nutritional value anyway, so not a huge fan of alcohol. Two, my kidneys may or may not implode. Fun fact, a lot of Asians don't do super well with alcohol. These like hard alcohols and whatnot. I don't know where sake lands on that, or if that counts, but I haven't had that anyway, so don't know. So kind of a double whammy there. End result is I don't really drink. Internationally recognized. Yeah, usually when I think of wines, I think of Italy, but that's just because everyone knows Italy. It's a little more Western though, so that kind of makes sense. So you learned in school about the Romans and the Greeks and blah blah blah, and then of course you get curious and you look it up, and then there's Italy. Navigated wine. I do not. What is navigated wine? How about translate, I wonder? Wine boiled with orange peel and flame. Huh. That sounds familiar. Because like I know mulled wine obviously, because I'm kind of a medieval nerd. At least was. Still kind of am, but I haven't really looked into it super deep. But I still like the time period. But orange peel? Similar, but mulled wine is usually cloves. Same basic thing though, it's heated up. Could be interesting. So the idea behind that taste was, I mean, obviously you're looking to infuse the citrus and taste of the oranges into it, but I guess it would depend on the wine that you start with. That's interesting. I'm trying to think of how that would play with like the taste of the alcohol versus the grape. So you've got grapes, alcohol, and then orange. All melted together. The idea sounds nice. Food varies from area to area. North, desert, maritime, center, capital, and south, thick forest and vegetation. Huh. All of the biomes then. Makes sense though, because like in the US, it's kind of the same thing. East and West Coast kind of have similar foods, but that's because they're both coastal. Then you of course have the South, which you think gumbo and jambalaya, stuff like that. Forget where casseroles are a thing. Midwestern tends to be, well, Central tends to be more simple and hearty usually. And I guess West Coast is probably just more of a mix of everything because this is the West Coast. You get a little Italian, a little bit of Mexican, because, you know, Mexico's down there. But then the people came over from Asia, so you have a bunch of different types of Asian food. Because objectively, California's not the worst place to live, but it is very expensive. But you do have a lot of options. Because even just in California, you have desert, mountain, forest, and then, of course, the coast, yes. Yeah. The West Coast is very much multicultural in most places. Not all of it, but the major cities, yeah. Or even the more rural areas, but then you get like in between probably Oregon and California as an example. Whereas smaller towns, very much less multicultural. That's where you're more likely to find the diners or typical American quotation mark food, so casserole, steak, some baked stuff, mac and cheese, that sort of thing, but you're not likely to get carbonara pasta or Asian food or that sort of thing. It'll just be simple, usually. Kind of interesting. I like having more options though, so not really my thing. Yeah, I could not live in the country. First off, you have to deal with Starlink. Ugh. I almost said OBS. No, not OBS is bad enough, okay, dealing with OBS, but Comcast is bad enough. At least you have options if they try and screw you over. Hashtag monopolies are bad. Quite a few furries in California. Probably. That wouldn't surprise me. Probably California and Oregon. And then the Pacific Northwest. It's a very free area. More inclusive and open to stuff that would be considered different in other places. Free-minded, if you will. How interesting would it be to travel to California? Well, it depends what you're looking for, I guess. Because there's plenty of stuff of historical significance, which would be, I'd personally find that interesting to see. But then there's also plenty of the typical modern day attractions with theme parks and water parks and all sorts of different events. And then you get stuff like a Renaissance fair or Scottish festival, which are exactly what they sound like. Just a giant fair in a Renaissance style where they have a bunch of people that dress up in period clothing and whatnot. They're actors, but you know, their job is to bring that time period to life, so those are fun. And it keeps the culture alive, which is always cool. Culture, history, and art of the place. Definitely plenty in California then. Because there's, like I said, plenty of different cultures who have their own little festivals and whatnot if you know where to look. And then there's a lot of places with historical significance. I mean, heck, there's the whole gold rush thing. Those would be more remote places, but, you know, if you wanted to go see an old mining town, you probably could. Not much of a tourist area person, so no Disneyland, got it. Good call. Can it be fun? Sure. I'm biased, having been there multiple times in child years, but you know. It can be fun, I guess, but there's a lot. It's very crowded. It's very crowded. There are a couple art museums in LA, though, that are probably worth seeing. There's a couple of airfields that are definitely interesting. You have any interest in military history? A couple of museums. And then there's, of course, I think 3 different places where they have at least 3 different places where they have World War II ships that you can visit and get on and actually see the inside of and whatnot. So those are cool. I'm biased, of course. I'm biased. There's a lot to do. Been to Argentina, Peru, Bolivia, and the United States is calling your attention. Maybe California's your destination? It's probably a good place for it. Those also, I don't remember what language you use mostly in Chile. I know Brazil's Portuguese, but I don't remember Chile. But by virtue of being California, there will be more people that speak Spanish, so there's that. It's at least slightly closer than English. Cultural melting pot. There's plenty of upsides. If you go speaking English complicates things too much. Yeah, it does that. It does that for a lot of people. It does that for native English speakers, if we're being perfectly honest. The rules in English apply except for when they don't, as dictated by the rules of English. Yeah. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, I know. Can be a fun language. Very difficult to learn. Oof. And that is probably the most challenging part of traveling, honestly, is the language barrier. Maybe in like 10-15 years there'll be translators that'll just completely nullify the issue, but well, AI ain't quite there yet, for better or worse. Writing it and speaking it. Usually people struggle with the reading and writing part more so than the speaking part. Because there's a lot of words that sound funny, I guess. Because there's a lot of words that sound the same but are spelled differently. Like there, there, and there. Otherwise known as that place over there. I forgot the second meeting, but whatever. It's there. It'll belonging to them there, which is THEIR. Over there, which is THERE. And then there is and there are, which is THERE apostrophe RE, because it's a conjunction. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. Yeah. Brain, why? I get it. Drink water. I didn't grab more water. That's the problem. I do have a Gatorade though, because UEFA Champions League, official sports drink of UEFA Champions League. Really? Would have never guessed. But yeah, if you're ever dehydrated, Gatorade or Powerade is better. Or really anything with electrolytes, but I mean, technically speaking, more so bottled water, but just straight water is bad in large quantities, mind you. A lot. You'd have to drink a lot, because it'll flush out a lot of the natural minerals you have in your body and vitamins and whatnot, because that's kind of what your body uses water for a lot of the time. So it's not a problem unless you drink too much, as most things. Too much or too little is bad. It's the middle area where you want to live. And then the neurodivergent. Here you test at work, and that is how it came out. I technically, I think, never got tested. I probably did, but I don't remember what that was. I'm pretty sure the answer is yes. Like 90% sure. There's only so many times or things you could look at on the list of neurodivergency and be like, yeah, that, and that, and that. Yes, also that. Okay, that too. You only exhibit so many traits without actually probably having it yourself, but it's not verified. ADHD, however. ADHD I can definitely say I do have. So probably both. As I like to joke, I chose too many debuffs on the start of my roguelite adventure called Life. Autism test, but I declined. I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter if it's not impacting daily life, but if you do know, then it can be easier to... what's it called? Figure out how to make things work better, I guess? Or work around things. Think of it kind of like if you have a car that has like this weird quirk where at a specific speed, if you brake too hard, it gets very, very upset. And I'm gonna be vague because I don't know a lot about cars. Don't ask why I use cars for an analogy then, it's just what came to mind. But if you know, then it's a lot easier to plan around it, work around it, and fit stuff together in a way that'll work best for you, than if you don't know it's a problem in the first place, and it just sneaks up on you, and then hey, suddenly you're in a car crash. Not a good time. Not a good time. But yeah. I also like knowing things, which is part of it. But it's easier to solve a problem if you know the problem exists. And then also you can look at other people who dealt with the problem and what they do and see if it works for you. Won't always, but it's because people are different, which is what makes the world interesting. Everyone is the same, like, it's you. Seeing too many things at once and overthinking. Imagine options like a 3D. Yeah, that does sound a lot like autism and neurodivergence. I don't know where the line's drawn there actually. Like, where's... because I know there's the spectrum, obviously everyone at this point in time is aware of that. But I don't know if it's all technically autism or if that's a specific point, like you hit a specific point on the spectrum where then you have it, but before that you don't. I don't know. I'm not a neurologist. I can't answer these questions. I didn't go to school for years to study it, so I know some stuff, but I don't know the specifics in a lot of cases. I certainly couldn't diagnose anyone, or and shouldn't really. But yeah, that's a pretty typical thing. I know a lot of people like getting noise canceling headphones, which I haven't tried myself. But again, I am very much an enjoyer of late night because it is less loud, everything just feels more mellow, and there is less stimulus. It's part of one of the things that I struggle with in League is team fights, because there's so much going on at a time. Getting overstimulated is a very real thing. I do wonder why that is. My guess would be that when neurodivergent, most people tend to tune things out. Like, they're aware of them, but they're not looking at every little thing and cataloging every little thing and consciously noting and seeing every little thing. So it doesn't bother them as much. Whereas neurodivergent, you do the opposite. You just notice everything. It has ups and downs. It's useful in some situations and less useful in daily life. Time at school is something that never stopped. Immense curiosity, studying distracted you every moment was doing high performance sports, so you never stop. Sports are good. Being healthy physically is good because then you tend to do better mentally. Should take no advice, but you know. Experience at school. Usually quite bored. Except in history and stuff, but like math, first off, I argue, I maintain, right? Math, it doesn't make sense. It is a bunch of old systems built on older systems that someone could just take the time to streamline and make better and more modernized, but no one does because it's a lot of work. So then you end up with really, really complicated equations that don't need to be as complicated as they are. Maybe there's another reason, but that's my take. But, you know, history, really liked that. Favorite class. Art was okay, but I tended to take a little too much time on projects and overthink stuff. That hasn't changed. I still do that. Now I just do it with content creation. What was the last video I made, you ask? We don't need to talk about that. It's not important. It's a work in progress. I should get a mic stand. I'll add that to the list of many things that I should do. Like getting a better desk and a standing desk, so then I can do this while standing and at least move around and not feel like an... Anyway. So yeah. History, favorite. Cooking was nice because I got to physically move around and do stuff. That's ADHD for you. And, yeah, I was the weird kid that really liked PE. Again, physically active. My favorite. My comfort zone. Now these rhythms. If someone has ADHD, I mean, this is just me playing with the cable of my headset the entire time, because if you have ADHD, at least in my experience, if you're not actively moving around or doing something, it becomes very difficult to actually think about things. Because you just have too much pent up energy. A lot of people see, like, for most people, if you're moving around a lot and doing that, I didn't know some people like recommended like fidget toys or stress balls or just like a rubber band bracelet thing. Whatever works, really. The point is something that occupies at least part of your mind, which then lets you, you know, actually use your brain for other stuff. But yeah, doing something. Sitting around doing nothing isn't great. But again, I'm a psychologist, I just notice things. I have a lot of different topics that I know a little bit about. Fox is wise. But Fox is not all knowing. Which I guess is arguably makes me more wise. I do love living up to stereotypes and archetypes. Guided things or develop motor skills. Funny segue. I saw a Giga clip. Thanks, Braid. Clip. Where she was talking about how she has a friend who works with kids going into kindergarten, I think it is, to make sure that they have all the developed skills they need and they don't need it, so they don't need extra programs and whatnot later in like high school or whatever. And a recent thing is a lot of them don't actually have the motor skills necessary to use a pencil, because all they do is, or even speak sometimes, because all they do is their parents give them an iPad and they just have them do that. So they're just using their finger. Basically parent issue, but you know, the kids have to deal with it. I didn't even know that was a thing, but hey, come to find out, yes. I suppose that is one downside of not going out all the time, but then it's like, people talk about kids getting lazy. They don't talk about the parents getting lazier. Because like they're supposed to teach the kids. But classic human fashion, when it's not a requirement to survive, like it was in, I don't know, the early 1200s, or even early 1900s, then it just doesn't seem as important. And yeah, parents have always had things where they want to do their time, where they want to do their own thing, but when everything seems so peaceful and prosperous, it's easier to let things fall to the wayside. Unfortunately, it's the kids that pay for it. More random knowledge with Arctic. Ivy with Casey. Yeah. Even I forget. Maybe it arguably should have done some small change with the model, but no. I don't think I'm going to change it until I actually get my own. I do generally have an idea what I do with that, but Twitch, please, anytime you want to, you know, roll out those changes you keep talking about months ago. Yeah. Something helps me with my ADHD. Randomly think about things? Yeah, that does. But also playing with stuff. These have a stress ball. Don't have a stress ball anymore. Ugh. But that is why I tend to talk too quickly sometimes. A lot of the time. Classic ADHD trait. Well, like I said, if you know something is an issue, then you can work around it. And it just means that I have to be more aware and conscious when talking. But playing with stuff helps. It's also part of why I like doing games more than just sitting here talking, but talking is also fun. I have no clue what I'll do when there's more of you, and there's like even 10 people in chat talking consistently. Because the thing my brain wants to do is answer everything, but then it tries to rush through it, and then it's just a jumbled mess that is really awkward and anxiety-inducing to everyone involved. Talking to you helps. No, that was the correct way, brain. Thank you. Talking to you helps me. Yeah. Talking in general, I guess. But yeah, having. All right. Maybe not first rule of ADHD, but one of the main things with ADHDs tend to be very goal-oriented. So, aimlessly rambling about topics, I can do, kind of, but it is very much undirected, nonsensical, and easier to run away with, I guess? Instead of finishing thoughts or... what's the word? Being more composed, I guess? I don't know. Not articulating it super well. Point is goal-oriented. So having a goal in mind makes it a lot easier to plan out how to achieve it. Of course, downside, very goal-oriented. If the goal is, say... what is a good word? If the goal is, say, make a 10-meter sprint in less than... I don't know what the average is. Let's say 20 seconds. It's pretty straightforward. You just train to get faster and then till you do it. If the goal is finish college, shall we say, or get a master's degree in something, then that's a long period of time without actually achieving the goal, which then really, really, really wears on you. So it is better to have an overarching goal, something you're aiming towards, but then a bunch of little things like get a B+ or an A on a test, finish homework by X date, that sort of thing. That is technically true for a lot of people, but it's especially important if you have ADHD. Small achievable goals. Small achievable goals. Meh. Thanks. I always forget that for some reason. But yeah, generally for me, talking with people helps because, I mean, I just like talking with people. I like learning about people. I don't find myself particularly interesting, and I've had many years to think about things that interest me, even if I maybe didn't think about things that I want to do or like as much, and then kind of need to think, done a lot of thinking lately about what actually makes me me, and then how to make that a play in content creation, but that's another thing entirely. Love you anyways. And I appreciate you guys. Streaming with ADHD can be difficult, because again, like I said, small achievable goals. But also you don't really have control directly over a lot of the things you'd put as goals for streaming. Or content creation for that matter. So technically, not the ideal career path for someone with ADHD. Kind of is for someone with autism, because you get to set your own hours, you don't actually physically interact with people, and generally you can tell them to screw off if you want to, if they're being dumb. But, yeah. Less so ADHD. I've always liked challenge mode, so, yeah. At the end of the day, I like creating things. You need to actually do it. I know, crazy thought. To create things, you need to create things. Take care of me. Eh. Not really. I tend to like doing things on my own. Honestly, accepting help from people, or rather asking for help from people when I don't really need it, is one of the things that I struggle with most. Very prideful. It is a thing that I've had to get used to an extent, but I don't like it. The psychological arm. Support's always appreciated. Everyone likes support. Some people more than others, granted, but I feel like I go out of my way sometimes to say thank you. Even though it's a little awkward for me, because, like, in my mind, if someone helps you, obviously you're thankful, right? But, I mean, everyone likes being thanked. You shouldn't do something for someone with the expectation that they will thank you or reward you, but it's generally nice, right? Been a year, right? Yeah. It's been a little over a year and a month since I started streaming. Yeah. It was May 17th last year that I started. It's went much better in the beginning than it continued, but you know, I mostly know why. Got a bit lost on stuff, focused too heavily on some things, lost track of what I actually wanted to do. And yeah, did a little too much of what I thought I needed to do and what was most technically effective, or should be, instead of the stuff that actually works for me and that I wanted to do. Part of that is because the stuff that I really want to do, which is the 3D animation and putting together my own, what do I call them, I guess scenes or whatever, doing like the recordings in 3D, get to play a character and whatnot. Can't do them, still can't do them. Need a much better PC than I currently have. And then my brain, being my brain, doesn't want to settle for doing it with a 2D model. They don't really want to not use a model, because again I have hang-ups with my voice and whatnot. Just trans woman things. And so it then is just not interested in doing it at all. The PC? That very much fluctuates. If I were to randomly pull a number out of the hat, which means it's probably mostly accurate, but not perfect, probably like 5K? So $5,000 USD. Whereas model would be like 3 to 4K. So not impossible, especially considering most of the living situation stuff is taken care of, but well, it requires earning money, which I haven't done. And I refuse to do handouts, because I'm very stubborn and prideful. Usual foxes. I like earning the things that I get. Is it stupid? Sometimes, yeah. But that's just me. I guess a good analog would a comparison to be if you were to cheat in a game to achieve a result versus if you actually grinded to earn the result. It's a pretty good analogy. Analogy. But yeah, it's mostly been figuring out how to adapt the things that I want to do to what I can actually do. Would it be state of the art? No, it would not. No, it wouldn't. It's high end, but not state of the art, because okay, like if you were talking just the PC, maybe, but Joker, for instance, his PC comes out around like 10K because he's spent a lot on it. But yeah, it was maybe higher than it would be. I guess both would maybe come out at 3 to 4K. I don't know. And it depends, because for what I really want to do, which is the 3D animation stuff, that would be like at the highest end. But there's probably bits and pieces I could dabble in with a less powerful PC, which would put it in the like. Okay, so if mine is like 1500 or so. I mean, yeah, the current top of the line graphics cards, not even top of the line, like a 5080 is like almost $2,000. Fans can also get expensive, the cooling can get expensive, and you need both of those. And then the CPU gets very expensive, but less expensive than the graphics card. Then the motherboard, which a lot of people don't think about, and then the RAM. And then you need the cables to hook it up to the monitors, which needs to be of high enough spec to actually get any use out of all of that. It can get to be a lot. That I have no interest in putting it together on my own, so it would be pre-built. Maybe by like iBuyPower or something, I don't know. Haven't decided. I'm nowhere near the point where I need to decide that. If I go off of my gut feeling, I think relatively soon, maybe. Technically. But like before GTA 6 comes out was the goal that I had because I really want to stream and play that. Cutting edge technology would cost you $3,000. USD or what is the currency in Chile? Would it just be pesos? I don't actually know. Huh. Things I haven't considered. Having a bunch of countries in close proximity, all using different types of currency. Which I guess is the entirety behind the European Union, but you know. Oh, yeah. For 5090 full memory, RAM and processor. Huh. Well, apparently I need to do more research. I'm also piggyback components like that. Part of that is, okay, it would be a lot cheaper to put it together in my, let's say, can I spell please? Yeah. Yeah, that's what I thought. That wasn't wrong. What does this have? Yes, that's the worst. Go away. Okay. Oh, right. No, I need. Where's Opera? Oh, there it is. Unquoted the components, put them together so assembly would be free. Yeah. That is a large part of the price. Grab this. Huh? Okay. Sure, Opera, I don't. Windows updates. Why do you always break everything? Okay. We'll just do that. Alright, cool. Uh-huh. Complicated. Go over here. Okay. I get to go sit over here. So. This is an option. Like this is like mid-range. But then you get like the 5090. That's not even a top of the line processor either. It's a good processor, but it's not top of the line. So, and that's with 64 gigabytes of RAM. So that's kind of where I get that. That's even technically more expensive than that. But yeah. It's expensive. It's free. When you're not putting it together yourself. And I would probably want to get a better processor than that, ideally. I could live with like a 5080 equivalent, or even don't want to go as low as a 5070, but I could. But that would limit doing anything in 3D. Never mind getting a 3D model and then trying to run that with a bunch of stuff. But that is a very far future thing, so, you know. Normally, yes. Normally, if you're just doing average gaming, this is fine. This is more than enough. I mean, realistically, okay, maybe not with an 8 gigabyte graphics card, but that'll get you through most things. This is probably more realistically what you'd need to play 90% of games in 1080p, probably more than 1080p. This is more 1080p. This is like 1440p with at least 60 FPS. Because like my PC, which is now a 9060 XT, and a 9800 XT, which is the one a little below this CPU, same generation though, gets like 80 to 90 FPS in 1080p. But that's kind of mostly while not streaming, so there's a lot of games that I can't stream, even though I'd like to, which is why I tend to do, I don't know, League of Legends. And WUBA does work decently well, but it also struggles sometimes, and there's frame drops when streaming, so this is probably like realistically bare minimum for a streaming PC if you're going to be playing games. But if you want to do anything in 3D, like 3D animation and whatnot, it could technically do it, but it would be a little bit painful. Just a little bit. Not incredibly so, but it would be a little bit. Those ones are for... you don't know how to maintain them. 4,000 for PC. How did he not know that? Okay. First rule of electronics is if you're going to be putting it together yourself, research to understand what needs to be done. Oh, the idea of someone not putting thermal paste on the CPU physically hurts me. It physically hurts me. Yikes. That's unfortunate. That's a very unfortunate. It's a very expensive mistake to make that. But that's why I would just want to get it pre-built. Even though it can be kind of sketch having stuff shipped to you because it's a lot of delicate components. At least then I could just send it back and have it fixed, right? This is also why I want to live near a micro center, which is like main life goal later. Within like 5 years, to live near a micro center, so I don't have to worry about it. Because micro centers are great. Friend who bought the computer to check that everything was there. He didn't. To be fair, if you buy a pre-built PC and you don't know how to put it together on that, looking to see if there's thermal paste is kind of difficult to do and very intimidating. But usually most people fail at the first hurdle, which is discharging static electricity so you don't fry your motherboard. Which is, surprise, kind of important. Most people think of static shock as, ow, I touched this metal doorknob and it zapped me. It's like, yeah, now imagine you were a delicate piece of electronics. Not great. Well, you could do a lot with a $2,500 PC for sure, but largely amazing. I have high standards and expectations for basically everyone, and especially myself. So the stuff that I'd want to do, which is like building entire scenes and doing 3D animation and choreography for that sort of stuff, I think like trailer quality stuff you'd see for like League of Legends or WoBA. And that's the sort of thing that I want to eventually do. Which you can do a lot. Like, you could stream in 1440p with a $2,500 PC. But you couldn't really do anything in 3D. Which I would like to stream in 3D at some point. Even though it requires getting another expensive, very expensive model. On top of getting it the design that I want to in the first place, on top of getting just the 2D version. So there's a long way to go until that. Saving it for PC. Huh. Huh. Imagine having an income. Huh. I don't recommend living as I currently do, but you know. It's my current reality. That was part of the problem. Not currently. When subs are a thing, sure, but I do have donations off for a couple of reasons. One, I don't feel like having them be weaponized by people who have agendas against trans people and LGBT in general. Wish they would. And, you know, this is the whole thing where it only needs to go wrong once. I needed to go right every time and for no one to do that, because I couldn't really do much about it. And dealing with credit card companies and all of that stuff, and then overcharge, well, it's not that. I forget what it's called, refund or something or other? Chargeback. Yeah. Chargeback stuff. Not fun. Twitch doesn't care, because the person just gets blacklisted. But less so for entrepreneurs, shall we say. But that is part of what Twitch is slightly, I say, because technically until you hit affiliate, you can't use it off-platform. But basically every channel will be able to have subs and probably bits, I'd imagine. But more importantly to me, I get to then mess with stuff like the sound alerts, which I would really love to have had access to already, Twitch, but you know, they kept that behind the affiliate wall. And affiliate is... if you're only streaming, probably nigh on impossible to hit in any reasonable time frame if you're not streaming every single day. Which, I mean, I don't, because I'm trying to focus more on YouTube so that I can actually do that and have a reliable source of income. But, yeah. Still gotta do the stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Not super happy about it, but is the reality. We do call ADHD and autism a disability for a reason. It doesn't make you less as a person, but it does make a lot of things that most people do without thinking very difficult. Yeah. But I don't like having... I don't like using it as a... Okay, I was the person who's like... Okay. One thing that my high school did do was that if you needed more... if you had a learning disability, you could get more time for tests and stuff. But I think we've covered how I'm very prideful. I don't like handouts. I don't like getting extra considerations. I don't know the actual word. I can't think of it at the moment. But I don't like being treated special. Or at least more special than everyone else. Because one, it kind of offends my pride depending on the context. Two, I mean, life's not fair generally speaking, but I don't like having extra advantages, especially because 90% of the time I don't need them. It's convenient in this case because I get the time to actually work out. Like, most people would not have had the year to spend on streaming. Oh, classic. Classic. Yeah, that is also the other thing, is there are some people who wail for streamers. And that is the sort of thing you should not be doing unless you earn more in a month than most people would see in an entire year. Just don't. And even then, arguably, some of them go a little. Yeah. No. Some people are not great as human beings. They are still human beings, but they're not great human beings. There's a fine... Okay. Rule of life. The only thing that is truly always bad is absolutes. Too much of a good thing can make it a bad thing, too little of a good thing can make it a bad thing. And where that line gets crossed changes for a lot. Well, basically everything, it depends. Just kind of how it is. Only a Sith deals in absolutes, as some random wise person said. We don't need to get into who or if it's from a movie or whatever. That's not important. But yeah. But yeah, that goes into the whole wanting to earn it thing. 600 a month. 350. But didn't write. Like I said, some people are douchebags, yeah. Sorry that happened to you though. That sucks. It would be nice if everyone was super trustworthy and great, but a lot of people, like you should look after yourself first and foremost, but a lot of people skip over the part where you don't need to be a dick to everyone else and do things at their expense. Can't save everyone. Yeah, no. You can't. It is unfortunate. Oh, self-awareness and existential crisis. So much fun. Love it. Sometimes being normal, aka the same as the majority, is just take it. Just take that for granted. Being special and different isn't always great. It's not always bad, but it's not always great. There is a power and advantage to being normal, quotation marks. Oh well. If this is my life. At the end of the day, all you can really do is figure out how to make things work. How to make things work feels... What's the... There's a word. Dire? Dramatic? Partially? Feels a little negative, I guess. Like I say, it's through adversity we find our true self is something that I kind of like the idea. It's true. Dealing with challenges is how I mean, most of the time there's things you won't know how you're going to react to the situation until you're in the situation. Like, for me, dealing with more people at once or interacting with a large chat or YouTube comments or even just views on videos is part of it. But you just, life is dealing with, rolling with the punches, really. So, here's something something. Oh, I really need something. Need a medical help, but actually you're not even, yeah. So you said, but yeah. People get caught up in their own head, and it sucks, but it happens. You can only help someone who, first off, wants to be helped. And then, as many people find out if they ever try debating with someone, you can't change someone's mind if they don't want their mind to be changed, if they're not open to it. It just is what it is. Only so much you can do. C'est la vie. I'm aware how much of this applies to myself. Being self-aware is not something I struggle with. No, that is more the moral of the story. If you have a problem, deal with the problem before it snowballs into a larger problem that impacts other stuff. Otherwise, it's just more of a pain in the ass to deal with. Oh boy. But hey, that's why I can't my rules. Have fun, be myself. Don't hesitate, do things my way. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Don't force it. All very applicable to basically every part of life. You only have so much energy, mental or physical, to expend in any given day. And you can only regenerate so much. And well, in the night that you're given, which hopefully is at least 8 hours. Should be, ideally. Some people need more or less, but just generally speaking. Otherwise, you, as they say, burn the candle at both ends. You just make things harder and harder and harder and harder until you're at a point where you can't actually get out of it on your own without outside help. So, not a great place to be. Being the captain of your own ship is much less stressful than relying on other people. Yeah. 1 second. Bathroom. BRB. Hey. That's not. That's creepy. Oh, now it doesn't want to close, huh? Why am I not? Oh, because that's at a weird angle. No wonder. This is the downside of not having it set up. It's very weird. Okay, that's fine. It's bad to help people. It's not bad to help people, but you... as much as you may like to, as someone who likes to help people, some people you can't help, and unfortunately you need to kind of know that before you get around to helping them, which is easier said than done. But people will say a lot of things they don't mean and act in ways that they don't actually believe in to get what they want, unfortunately. But I'll be right back. Oh, I should grab water. One sec. Okay, there we go. Moderately more hydrated. So yeah. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people in the world who will take advantage of other people. And I just had a thought, and I forgot it on the way back to my PC. Alrighty. Alright, so one thing that I struggled with a lot was, as an autistic and ADHD person, I generally think of things and interact with them in different situations in different ways than most people. But also personally, I am good at reading people. Can generally understand how they feel emotionally and or what they want based off what they say and how they say it. The downside is that it is very easy to manipulate people, which is generally bad, yeah? I think we can agree on that. No one really likes a manipulative person. But that doesn't make the skill set in and of itself bad. Technically, someone who's good at manipulating would be a good actor. Because they can act in a way to evoke a specific emotion from you, right? Which is the point of most media or stories or games or whatever. They're looking to make you feel a certain way, depending on the experience. The problem is that there's not a lot of people that, well, for whatever reason, people don't like talking about feelings. That is, for a long time, a taboo subject, especially for men. But even with women, you're expected to act in a certain way. And there was acceptable behavior and unacceptable behavior, which has changed to be more open over, the years, but still not perfect. Kind of in the same way, but not exactly. That generally most people don't like talking about how much they earn, but it's sort of shifted on that front from the company doesn't want you to tell them because they don't want people going, wait, why do you earn that much for doing the same thing that I do, but I earn less? And more of people get kind of heated on that subject because they get jealous a lot of the time. It's a lot of the reason why a lot of small streamers or content creators will jump on a bandwagon for any time a larger creator does something wrong, right? Or barely steps in line or just says something unpopular. Because they think that they're gonna get some portion of their viewership or something. I don't know. But part of it's just that they like drama, and the other part of it is they are envious of their success. Even if they already have a decent amount of success themselves. Weird human quirks. But the point is, no one really explained like the whole being yourself thing. Because there is a line, right? Okay, you're good at manipulating people. That's not bad. But manipulating people into getting what you want at their expense is bad. That would have been nice to know a long time ago before I like kind of, not purposefully mind you, but transition towards not doing anything at all on that front. Not really having an opinion, not really like caring about things overly much, like still cared, but just didn't try and argue my side or my point for something. I wasn't really passionate about it. Just kind of generally accepting whatever people say. Not a good idea. That's how you get in the situation that I'm in. Especially if ADHD and autism, but yeah, that's the point. Maybe it's one of those things that most people just inherently understand or don't think about and just know. Maybe it's something that should be discussed more openly in society. I don't... I've only got my take. So that's admittedly been a lot of the last year when I didn't, try and force things too hard, and then that's where everything derailed like 3 months in and then hasn't really picked up since, is just being okay with being myself, I guess. Learning the difference between something that is bad to do versus just something that is different. I don't think I've made any secret of I like messing with people. It's rather fun to get reactions, but I don't like doing it anyway that's actually detrimental to them. Like, some people would think it's funny to shout fire in a building or pull the fire alarm. I think that's kind of a dick move and dumb to do for a lot of reasons, but some people find that funny. I don't know. Like I said, extremes. It's the extremes that are bad. So, then my job currently is to find that so that I can actually make content that I want to make and enjoy making so that people enjoy watching it. Because a point that has been made on a lot of videos, if you have seen any of the seemingly millions of almost never ending really videos by people about advice on how to succeed on YouTube or Twitch or whatever, is don't try and appease the algorithm. Try and make something, think about what people want to see, or at the very least what you would want to see and click on and find entertaining. Giant hug and a kiss on the forehead. Maybe not the second one. Kind of weird about touch, but you know. The thought is appreciated. Yeah. Stuff to think about, figure out, but recovering from burnout so I can actually do the stuff. So here's hoping soon. I have a good feeling about it. The general rule for me, which I guess is probably not applicable to most people, my intuition's pretty much right most of the time. Which, you think would lead to me listening to it all the time, right? That would be the logical conclusion to generally being right about stuff. No. No, of course not. Why would I do that? Hope to make her happy for a moment. I mean, you already done that. That's the other part of content creation for me. It feels weird to, because like, for me, realistically, streaming, I'd be happy just conversing with 5 to 10 different people. Just talking with people, having conversations. Right? Bantering and whatnot. But on terms of getting making a sustainable career out of it, that wouldn't cut it. But it feels kind of douchey to want more than that, but it technically isn't. It's just a reality of well, there's an order of operations to things. Doesn't devalue the 10 people any less, but yeah, that numbers. Oh no. But still, more is better in this. This feels weird. I'm afraid to ask though. What do you mean? What do you mean no service? What did you do? Or if you're not come back from camping yet, which would be kind of surprising. Building union is super spotty. In fact, 10 people's a perfect number to talk to. Yeah. Well, if only that were sustainable. Not that I would know. I haven't reached that yet either. Well, I've hit 5 actually. 5 has happened once or twice. Hit concrete walls everywhere. Ah, the price we pay for sturdy construction that also conveniently blocks off cell signals in a place that they probably don't want you to have a lot of cell signals. Funny then. Really weird how that happens. Ah, it's a Faraday cage without making a Faraday cage. Sublution proofing. Kind of, yes, technically, yeah, whatever. Fine. It's the less fun explanation, but sure. We can go with logic. Logic is fine. I can roll with logic. I can't roll with the comment that my brain wanted to make, but at least I get to enjoy it. I'm going to sleep. Thanks for stopping by, for thanks. And get some rest. Sounds like you've had plenty of work that you're doing. Kids are draining. Kids are very draining. Occasionally adorable, but very draining regardless. I'm sure Joker can attest. I really do need to remember that video idea that I had. Because it was good. But I, just forgot it, as I tend to. Man, I love ADHD. It's great. Kids are crackheads. I mean, energy-wise, yeah, kind of. They need to rival them. Especially if given sugar. Especially if given sugar. Oh. Yeah. That can get interesting. Well, that's a thought. Life is a highway, and I want to ride it all night long is a song lyric that could be repurposed in a number of ways. Um, um, what has life been, Joker? Besides busy, I get busy, obviously. Mm-hmm. There you go. That reminds me. Also, fun fact, so I apparently didn't need to buy It Takes Two, because if a friend has it, then you can do the... what is it called? Where is it? Oh, I put it up here. I thought I put it up here. Where did I put it? Suit for Hire, which is really fun. Can recommend. But, oh, here it is. Multiplayer. Oh. Oh, okay. That's fine. We close that. I need to. It's the friend thing, whatever. Oh my god. I have to go look for it on their page. Friend pass, right. Which is convenient. I feel like I get Assassin's Creed Shadow. Which is a fun game. Although I've spent a lot of time on Lupa. Because Lupa, my beloved best girl. I doubt I'll be able to S7 her, I think it is. But that's because I'm free to play, because no money. But I think I get at least a couple more. Banner's still up for like 15 more days, somewhere like that. So we'll see. We'll see. She was very fun though. Very ADHD friendly as well. One might even argue she was made for people with ADHD. Also maybe gooners, but you know. Not mutually exclusive, but they also don't need to be together. Just saying. Very much so like her though, because just similar on a personality level. Fighting for the love of fighting, but within the rules. I mean, she's a gladiator, right? So, not just fighting to fight, but enjoying a good fight. Which I can relate to. I played hockey for a living. Feel as though you've missed something. Maybe. I mean, this is an ADHD-driven conversation, so there's definitely a chance that you could have missed something. Did that? No, okay. I just didn't see pop. But Wuthering Waves. Woowa. Let me just... Not accidentally close OBS, that would be bad. Alright. This, over to this. Yeah. Lupa. I really like this shot. Just honestly looks very, very badass. And the sword looks super cool. Very Elden Ring. But, very cool. downside of gacha games and that style of game is there's a lot of grinding. 100% carry on. Yeah. That's just generally how she looks. That one is more because that was the weapon and they wanted to give it a different pose. This is usually what you use in combat and fighting. And because the developers are, well, here's the more goonery portion that I was talking about. One of her 3 idle animations is basically pole dancing. So, you know what you did, developers. You know what you did. New character on new. But why a new character? Why not continue the old character? Oh. I've been meaning to get back on that, but I was waiting for them to make the changes so that you could actually dungeon alone. I think that was it. Wanted a ranger instead of a mage. Couldn't you have just respec or reclassed? Am I wrong? Or did that cost money? That might cost money, never mind. Probably good though, get the full use out of that $30 horse DLC. This is actually good. Because I know you can like switch weapons and whatnot. But I forget exactly how it works because it's been a while since I opened the game. I should probably do that though. Although I do have Wuwa to grind out for the moment, so maybe not. Maybe when I need variety I'll do that. Classic Joker. Want to thing. Does thing. Maybe should have thought about things slightly more. This is the downside of not playing a game all the time and forgetting the UI and where everything is. Yeah, it happens. It happens. Not that that stops me from teasing you about it for, you know, all of eternity now. You're welcome. But yeah, grinding in those games is not my favorite part. Because it's a lot of repetition. You know, going to pick flowers in a field is maybe engaging for the first, like, 3 times you do it. It's a little bit less the next 200 to 300 times that you have to do it for the next whatever it is that you need. Pretty sure I was saving up for like a house or something for some reason. I don't remember why. Probably mostly just to have something to do. Bit too long term of a goal though. Should have chose something a little more achievable short term. Life lesson learned. It's mostly an ADHD thing though. ADHD thing. Holy words. But yeah. Hmm. I wonder how much better it would run. Because I thought about reinstalling Naraka, but it doesn't seem to be doing too well at the moment. So I decided against it. Still get teased for things you did years ago. Meeting your wife. Have you considered not doing things that are easy to tease you about? Food for thought. Vantage the same. When doesn't it have to be things you do directly? Like what? Because do it pussy you own and stabbing your hand was kind of very direct. Anything for you, Sage and Valor, that one stream? Do you think that was that the one? No, that was when you were streaming. I think you were streaming it. I wasn't streaming it. But that was with Jay now. Or I'm remembering something different. There's also an entirely possible thing. Not that I have a habit of forgetting things. No. I mean, it's all in there somewhere. It's just, you know, wrong address. Just took down the wrong address. That's all. Eventually find it. Oh dear. Why do I not remember this? At least not like specific swipes. No, I only remember the pain and suffering. To be fair, that is just totally you timing. It's just your luck, really. You too are cursed to live an interesting existence. Mine's usually just on like game stuff, but mine's projects and games. Projects and games. None of them go as expected, and they're all interesting, just not necessarily interesting in the ways that I'd like them to be interesting. Oh my... Please. What was I for trying to be a smartass? My keyboard rebels. I need a new keyboard. I'm not happy about it, but I need a new keyboard. Look, you can type at a reasonable speed. I can type generally correctly. We both have our strengths. The reason why I don't interact in Twitch streams is definitely not because I type slowly and therefore the topic passes on by the time that I get in what I wanted to say. No. Well, it's just being shy. Case 70? Yeah, I need to get one that is mechanical but not super expensive because it'll last longer. I don't hate the feel of this one. It is a membrane keyboard, but it's one that's like meant to emulate a mechanical keyboard, but it still has the issues with membrane keyboards where when it starts getting older, it starts ghosting a lot. Even though it's supposed to have anti-ghosting, because it's old. I sometimes wonder if it's worth starting an entirely new Twitter account. It might be. Freight elevators. Oh no, they found a way to bring the Mass Effect ship elevator into real life? Oh. Oh. Oh no. Oh, that's horrible. I'm so sorry. Does it at least have good music? I hope. I hope it has good music. Or it could just be, you know, constantly playing Bon Jovi to remind you that you're halfway there. And depending on how well maintained it is, potentially living on a prayer. Hmm. Sending it in Discord. So irritated with the A nunny? Corsair Gaming Keyboard K70 Core DKL Wireless. Which means I probably can't use it because my PC does not like working with wireless stuff. Free from wires via ultra-fast Slipstream Wireless version 1.5 or versatile Bluetooth. 10 keyless. Ew. Ew. Gross. No. I want my full-size keyboard, thank you very much. I will eat up all of the desk space that I want to eat up, and you can't stop me. I refuse. The rest in Stream Deck. Not prideful at all. Nope, I'm not. I'm really not. For sure, definitely. Anyway, moving on. Sitting in... Is that really how tote is spelled? Is it really? Wanting... Are we still talking about your keyboard? Because it doesn't feel like we're talking about your keyboard anymore. I'm just making sure, you know, you never know. And when you said you were alone in a cargo elevator, a freight elevator, my bad. So, you know, I mean, I don't know what gets up in those things. Does it even have cameras? I mean, some people are into that, granted, but still. I feel like workplace wouldn't be super enthused. Oh, We'll leave it at maybe. Which means when I don't get the opportunity to say no anymore. So, yeah. There's like no one here. I mean, there'll still be security footage, no? Just saying. Usually anything that they want to make explosion proof is worth setting up cameras and 100 people to 18 to 20 and no cameras. Anyway. Unless you're in the test cells. Uh, hmm. Somewhat surprising, but okay. Mm. I'll just note that down in my non-espionage file. For no particular reason. Imagine. That has to be really stressful. I'm so glad I don't have to deal with that. It is not a type of pressure I need in my life. In the slightest. Nope. It's for a good. I mean, it's just, you know, if no one points it out, then you just always do it incorrectly. This has nothing to do with me enjoying tormenting people in mostly harmless ways. No. No. Definitely not me being a shit. A gremlin, if you will. Autocorrect. Why do you still have autocorrect on in your phone? At least to the point where it changes it. Like, suggesting, sure, I can understand, but to where it actually changes it? You're a boomer, huh? Oh, really? Hmm. I see. I disagree with this narrative for reasons. Oh, you would indirectly. Technically, yes. But yeah, you know, being a year older. Yeah, yeah, just a little bit. Which means you really don't have any excuse. Mhm. There is no escape. There is no way out. Just accept that you're being lazy. Acknowledge it. Uh. Ow. Okay, that hurt a little bit. Granted, it's mostly because it annoys the hell out of me because I like being in control of it more. It was the dism. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Arguably, if it is a, you would have it off because you'd want to be more in control of it. Just saying. Hmm. Why does that close at varying speeds? I can see it lagging. Like, I don't want to close. But then if I upside number like 15 of getting my own model eventually, I can actually adjust it to my own eyes shape. And it would be built with that in mind. Rigged with that in mind, but you know what I mean. Doug will do it. Oh, it's dog feeding time. Oh no. Well, at least we realized the mistake. Unlike the modern way to go about it, which seems to be just doubling down. Or people call it doubling down just because you stand by your morals, because you feel like you're correct, but you know, whatever. It's only doubling down if you can't provide an actual explanation as to why that is correct, or that you think it's correct. Just saying. Ah. Hmm. Ba-da-ba-da. Phenomena. Huh. Do I run out of things to talk about? Potentially. Also water. Water is required. It is entirely too hot. Why do I feel like the building here is definitely air conditioned? Hmm. I would love air conditioning. It'd be nice. It'd always be 50 degrees inside my house. Like 55 degrees, okay. 55 degrees. We'll just add that on the list of things for eventual desired home. Near a micro center, good AC. Next to the usual around, you know, stuff to do. Plus also plenty of food places. I don't mind cooking, but I don't want to cook all the time. Okay? It's not the cooking, it's the cleaning afterwards. If you like that part, you're weird, and that's fine, but you're still weird. Typing messages. Nope. Alright, I need to remember to actually look at the bottom of the screen to see when I get a message reply. Yes, streamer mode. Man, I remember when one screen was all you needed. Now you need 2 screens if you're gonna stream. Minimum. And realistically, you should have like 3 to 4 screens. At which point you really need to look into doing a dual PC setup, which is a lot of power that I know my room could not deal with. But see, that's the thing. As much as they... Well, granted, I need money first, obviously. But getting a new PC would require paying an electrician to actually redo the wiring for like part of the house and the fuse boxes. Well, the fuse box and setting that up in a way that is insane for a 21st century home. You'd think getting the PC was the hard part. No, that's just the beginning. 3 is perfect? Yeah. Because I find that, Or one really large one. Like if you have a 32-inch for like a side monitor because you're a psychopath or something, then you could fit everything. I guess you technically make it the main monitor, but technically you'd get lower fidelity in most cases. But as you know, there's Discord, the tab opened for the Twitch dashboard, there's OBS, there's VTube Studio window, and then if I were playing a game, there'd be the game. It's a lot of stuff to fit on two monitors, even if one of them is 27 inches. And potentially 9. I need access to sound alerts so I can do funny things, Twitch. Please hurry up. Man, life would be so much easier if I could just be a React streamer, but A, boring. B, every single time there's an ad that tries to dox the hell out of me. Without fail. The answer is obviously YouTube Premium. But, you know. Need to make more out of this, or anything out of this, before investing it back into it. As much as YouTube would love to earn all of the money. I'm sure. They totally need it. Be cool if YouTube had a streaming mode implemented. Then all you'd have to do is link your Twitch, or if you're streaming YouTube, obviously you have your YouTube, and you could turn it on, and then it just wouldn't, at the very least, show ads related to your location, even though you have location settings off in Google, but it still keeps track of it for basically everything. What does it change then? I don't know. How long am I streaming for? I have no clue. So at least like another 30 minutes probably. Socialization. Struggle is the right word there. No, consequences. Or does struggles work? I don't know. I'm gonna go with struggles. I feel like struggles works. Don't second guess. Don't second guess. Don't second guess.
I have to try to make it before the pet store closes.
Uh-huh. Again with the two. I don't even know if that's me or if it's just it reading my eyes incorrectly, because I know it, like, definitely eyes wider when focusing, but I'm sure it's probably also not something. But, you know, eyes aren't exactly the widest things in the world. I'm literally a quarter type. No. No.
Hey.
But yeah, where the hell did I put this? Oh, there it is. I mean, I guess we could try. How long are you spending in a freight elevator? She just turn on the bathroom light and then leave? You know, sometimes it's more apparent why living alone is desirable. Oh. You're out of the freight elevator or you're out of the building? uh, in a cement block room. He's actually a CIA operative. I know the CIA is not supposed to operate on US soil, but we all know they do. So, yeah, don't worry about it. Cement block room elevator? Okay. I'm getting mixed signals, but that's fine. Life. What is the meaning of life? The meaning of life is bark. Multiple barks. Apparently. Classic. He thinks he's like 3 centimeters tall and a chihuahua? He's not. Very vague with the details. I don't know if vague with details covers cement block room and then elevator. That's a little more than vague. That's probably more in the category of how the hell does that even make sense? Mainly, dog, please stop. I love you, but please stop. My usual response meme now. I don't know what he's barking at. Because the LDR with Swiss Mountain Dogs, they tend to. I mean, they're herding dogs, technically, right? That's what they were bred for. So they're very good at letting you know when stuff is nearby. However, he does not differentiate between the front door and across the street. So, you know, somewhat problematic. Better than nothing, I guess, but it is. Well, have I mentioned that they're also known for having one of the loudest barks out of any breed of dog? Also very distinctive. Also very pretty. But they also have lots of health issues because every Swiss Mountain, well, greater Swiss Mountain Dog that is around these days was bred from the same 10 dogs, like, less than 100 years ago. In Switzerland, I think, or something. I don't remember exactly. The point is, they're very much, well, they're not as bad as the Habsburgs in terms of inbreeding, but it's there. there's health issues. Not sure how. They have Blender in Steam now? Not sure what the hell I'd use Blender for, but hey, cool. That's a thing, I guess. Oh no. Oh no. Alto's game one Andying for T1 versus... No, not... Probably FlyQuest versus BLG is my guess. This is League of Legends. I know. I know, it's horrible. Now, hear me out. It's not the game itself, it's generally the people. Who are, yes, required to actually play the game. I'm aware, it's a slight issue, but I like it. For some reason. It also is coincidentally very light resource-wise, which is probably part of the reason. Oh. What? Why do I even have Tumblr still on my phone? I don't know. I haven't used Tumblr in quite literally forever. Holy. And the NFS. Lol. I can't respond to the text because I'll stop moving. I'm not at the point in my career where I have two cell phones, one for facial tracking and another for like actually being a cell phone. So, you know, the girl makes do. As I didn't, nope, I misspelled belief again. What did I leave out? I think I missed an E. B-E-L-I-E. That's why I always spell it believe. I'll believe after a second win or something, I guess. Believe after a second win or something. Yeah. Voice modulation is fun, but also very difficult when you're a creature of habit. Anyone else also overthink every single message they send? Or is that just me? That could just be me. Why is spelling so difficult? Does anyone else also hate Discord's corrections? Because for trying to spell being, which should be B, there should be no E, but I put B-E-A on accident and then I-N-G. Its suggestions are beating, bearing, beating, and then finally being, and then beaming. Are we... It's not the worst one, granted, but sometimes it literally just does not have the word, and you're like, why? And then you type it in, it's like, oh yeah, that's the correct wording. Like, okay. What was I typing? I'm a fragile being. Okay. Well, that has potentially different connotations, but you know, we're gonna leave it, because innuendos are fun. I wanted a space, not an equal sign. I actually didn't want that second I at all. How did that sneak in there? Painting GIF. That'll work. Okay, got it. Side quest distraction over. Probably not. Maybe. I like banter. Banter is fun. That's not what I was expecting to pop, but that does feel better, so sure. We'll run with it. But yes. Surprise Joker sitting in a thick concrete wall building. Lost connection. He may be back. He may not be back. Who knows? I don't. And like I said, I can't answer, because... yeah. My eyes aren't closed at this point, by the way. This is just good facial tracking being racist, I guess. I don't know. Asian eyes. Is what it is. Asians, facial tracking, Scottish and Irish people, and text, well, not text to speech. Voice recognition. Name a more iconic duo, truly. Not that voice recognition software does good for a lot of things. Basically, if you don't speak in a basic American accent, it probably won't recognize what you're saying. And even then, it probably won't recognize what you're saying. It's kind of like when you type something into Google now and you get the Gemini response, you're like, that's not what I wanted to know about goldfish, not a fish made of gold randomly that it pulls up or something. I couldn't think of a better example because I wanted a better example, which meant I didn't get a better example. We all know how this works, but come on. Go with the program. Oof. I did, funnily enough, think this was going to be a shorter stream. That's because it's very draining talking to myself. Talking with someone else, less so. But, well, we're out of the day and age where you could just be a VTuber and have an audience. So, and that don't work no more. Even technically just being entertaining isn't enough. You need to have an audience from like YouTube or something, which takes time. Even just in building it up and then converting that from YouTube or the other platform into stream. But say that just the way that it works. This would be less of a problem if I liked video editing more, but ADHD and autism, mostly ADHD in that case. A, there's too many options, which means I get overwhelmed by options and go to decision paralysis. B, what was B? I had second reason. Alright, tedious. It's very tedious editing. Also, I get an idea in my head of what I want to do, and then I realize I don't know how to do that. And so then I'm just like, well, now I don't really want to do it anymore, which is a very autism thing. It's very autism coded. Well, if life was was gonna say RPG, but more of if life was a roguelike. I ticked off too many boxes, alright, for the bonuses. I ticked off too many boxes. I'm good at a lot of athletic stuff, and in terms of being able to keep track of everything happening on the field or whatever. I have lots of ideas. I'm good at puzzles. But there's just, a lot of asterisks there, unfortunately. I can see why Fillion started in 3D, with a 3D model. Yeah. It would have been smart. Yes. It'll be a little bit of time before I can even really think about doing that, because 3D models are expensive. Also, I need to actually pay someone to do the concept art for my own model in the first place. Which is also expensive, but less expensive. I do mostly, I think, know what I want for that. Not entirely, because me being me, how my brain works, I won't know until I see it whether I really like it. But if in the lower than I'd like quality, you looked behind me and saw I think along the bottom part is mostly, yeah, like if you look down to my left, like there ish, kind of where my hair is. I can't point in the shoulder. I can't even turn to look at it really, because the model's a little more limited, being that it's $25 and pre-made. So I can't really look around. I can kind of, but the eyes just always sort of look forwards, mostly. But it's there. It's like a little purplish and a little blue and a little white. And that's probably what I'd go with, some mixture of that. For the hair, don't get me wrong, I like the black, white, and gray color scheme, but it is a little monotone. And it mostly have that because, I mean, first off, I do like it, and I originally started with Arctic Reefs, so yeah, it made sense. But I'm also limited in what I can do with the clothes, and I'm not a huge fan of super bright colors in excess, so generally speaking, I couldn't really do what I want visually with this. That's what it is. Improvise, adapt, overcome, yeah? I do like it though, so I'm happy with it. It's not the same as everyone else who could ever pick up the model. They could technically if they got the hex codes, but if you gotta go through that much effort, go for it. I'm not important enough to impersonate, and whatever. I suppose the one upside being trans. Very unique voice. Neither generically male or female. Except for when it is. I don't know. Maybe we can consider that an upside, I suppose. So yeah, as far as the aesthetic, probably punk. I think Ruby from, well, Ruby, but less goth Lolita. More like season 4 onwards, I think. Maybe season 5. Might be season 5 onwards. No, season 4. Season 4 is the first outfit change. Well, the first significant one. Probably more towards season 8 then. I like asymmetry a little bit. The irony being that asymmetry only works if it's balanced. But it's still asymmetric. And I'm a fan. I don't like a lot of sameness or too uniform. Then it's just boring. Um. Hmm. I guess if it, if it didn't like a oh, you know, if I mess with the opacity. Alright. So I tried my hand at making another background in the style, at least color-wise, of League's Spirit Blossom theme, which pretty easy to find, I guess. Pinks and purples, basically, but a lot of different shades of pink and purple, which appeals to me because it isn't all the same. However, I don't have any real formal art training or experience for that matter. Or even a lot of experience with art in general. So it didn't quite turn out as well as this one. It's a little more complicated, but I'm thinking that if I to do kind of like the whole swirl thing, if I did it more transparent in some places with layering, then it would work a little better. The problem being I don't quite know the balance to go for, which is a problem. A little far over. Rule of thirds. Something that I forgot, but that is very poignant to photography and cinematography. Don't let anyone ever say that YouTube taught you nothing. It's taught me plenty. Also caused plenty of pain, namely in why the heck stuff has 0 views, and then you look at the under the reach tab to the impressions, which is how many people it sent it out to, and it's like, 15. Yeah, that'll do it. Like, if it's sitting at a decent number of impressions and no one's clicked on it, that's one thing. I get that 100%. But if it's got a decent amount of views, but it's only been sent out to like 100 people, and then there's other ones where it's like 1,600 impressions and it's got like 20 views, and the average watch time is 20 seconds. Granted, if you're trying to figure out metrics for like how entertaining something is, a VOD is not the best idea, especially when it's literally just sent from Twitch to YouTube, because I can't be bothered editing it. I would rather save energy for actual videos, which I also haven't had energy for, so I'm definitely not going to do the VOD, which is why I get really annoyed when someone keeps yelling my name across the house. I'm sure at some point I don't bother, but I don't know. It's just one of those things where like it'll happen eventually, right? Especially if I get larger. But you know, the more information they have to start off of, the worse it is sooner. So difficult anyway, because VTuber. But you know, if YouTube keeps trying to dox me by putting ads that use my location, then I guess. Well, that's why I don't do React content. And you can't use ad blockers because then it just doesn't play the video. Which, fair, I guess, but very inconvenient for me. Privilege, as Saban, I'm aware. I can't use other people's content for content because I don't have money. Huh. Yeah, that's a complaint. That's a real complaint. Uh, I don't struggle with being self-aware at all. So, you know. Hmm. uh, yeah, so I don't know. It could just be anything, really. Maybe at some point I'll bite the bullet, but I don't really like doing React content in the first place. I prefer doing things, and sitting there watching a video being unable to talk feels incredibly limiting. I don't even like cutscenes in video games for that sort of thing. I barely even like cutscenes in video games in general if they're not, you know, actually well done cutscenes. In which case I don't mind because I love good cinematography. I love it. It's incredible. It's fun. I'd place it at like a year before I'm starting to put my own stuff together. But I need a new PC. Because as much as I did replace the parts that were failing in this current one, for the most part, I think the motherboard's kind of borked a little bit, so it's kind of jank. It's a little jank, right? But it works. I can stream, it doesn't crash because of memory issues, or CPU issues, or GPU issues. It just works. It's a little slow sometimes, but it works. We don't need to talk about how the SSD with my Windows on it is at 46% health, whatever the heck that means. I mean, surely that means it has, you know, another 40% of 8 health to burn through, plus 6. So it should be fine for a while. It's 5 years old after all. Yeah, if only. If only that was how it worked. If only. So I'm trying to use that hard drive less. It's still got Windows on it, obviously, because it's an NVMe, so it's still going to be faster than most of the things. But it's a concern. It does put me in more of a timer than I already thought I was on, which is like, okay. Living situation in the next year or so. Gonna be slightly spicy, potentially. If I can't actually earn a reasonable income off this, which thing that I didn't know, the average income in the US is like 36,000 a year. I thought it was more than that for some reason. I mean, I still prefer to do more than that, but well, beggars can't really be choosers. I will still be slightly choosy because I am prideful fox, very much so. Wish I was just playing a character there, but no, that's just me. If you look up temperament of a fox, that is just literally my personality, so you know. We love life for all of its challenges. Yeah, I don't know. Alrighty. I do my best. I do my best. I haven't checked if eBridge was on sale. But realistically, I don't think that I can use it at the moment. PC specs. Basic rundown. 9060 XT, so it's good, but you know, still not amazing when you're trying to stream and use a VTuber model and play games. And then a R7 5800 XC with a water with the world's most painful to install AIO. Do not buy the Arctic freezer. Who? I think it's the two. The one that if you look up and look further than surface layer, is everyone complaining about how much of a pain in the butt it is to install. Put on top of that, the backplate for my motherboard was falling off. You know, the thing that you screw the cooling system into the fan, so that, you know. I had to prop it up on something, me keeping in mind it's still inside the PC case, so I had to find something that was low enough to not just break it, but high enough to keep pressure on it so that I could screw the damn thing in. Keeping in mind that this thing is notoriously difficult to screw in because their design is horrible. It was an experience. It took multiple hours. I was not having fun. The graphics card was much easier. I did almost forget that I had to disengage it, what do you want to call it, one of the snap clamp things on the end, because it's been 5 years since I put in the graphics card. Oh, look at the slot below it, you say. Look at you being all logical and smart. Oh, I'm so proud of you. I'm so cool. You do such a good job. Yes, you are. No, shut up. ADHD. That's my excuse. It's definitely not just sometimes not thinking things through. Okay, not thinking things through. It's more technically defense mechanism, because life can be unfun when you notice every detail. Especially if you're, say, you know, a trans woman, and yeah. Noticing everything is not always great. Nah. It's a thing that I'm trying to fix, because I generally would like to actually be good at stuff like that again. Very observant. It's a very useful skill to have, being observant. But I kind of trained myself to not do it, and so right now I have to untrain the training to not do it. The same way that I have to untrain messing with my voice, because if I just consciously relax, and it sounds a lot more what I'm comfortable with it sounding like, but I tense up and then it doesn't sound anywhere near. I used to get confused with my mom a lot on the phone, which should have been the first clue, really, that that was something that I was happy with and okay with. Truly. But, you know, aware, that sort of thing, you know. Such is life. Such is life. I have a long list of things that I want to work on or get, and it just keeps getting longer without any way to work on it. And a part of me feels like an idiot for thinking that I can get this whole YouTube content thing to work. I know that I can, technically. I have the capability. But, like, I mean, everyone wants to do that. Everyone used to want to be an astronaut, and everyone wants to be a content creator. I'm aware. And there's two arguments to that. One, yeah, maybe nothing special. Maybe I suck at it. Maybe I don't. I don't know. Two, maybe I don't. Just need to figure out. Because, like, I haven't really, for any consecutive amount of time over the past year, put the amount of effort that I would consider required to actually succeed at it without just getting extremely lucky. I haven't been able to consistently put out videos, and there's a couple of times where there's like 2 months and then another month of no streaming because mental burnout and then also just my PC burning out. So, you know, I keep hitting road bumps, and when you don't have a ton of mental energy in the first place, it turns a road bump from a road bump to, well, speed bump to a hill and potentially a mountain. It's very frustrating because I know I'm capable of doing it, but physically doing it is a struggle. Been doing better though, feeling better. Part of me is just tensed, waiting for the next speed bump around the corner. But, I mean, that's arguably life. All I can really do is hope that I'm up to the task of mounting it and getting over it. By whatever the guy's name is. Yeah, no, I've never played a rage game in my life. I know myself. I would hate it. But I suppose that's as good a place as any. Do I want to leave off there? Do I want to call it? How's phone battery looking? Oh, well, one, opening that up so I can see the battery, froze it. But it's at 47%. What the hell did I just do? No, okay. I was thinking lower. I mean, no, that's on par, because like 5-hour stream would be on like 20% and start yelling at me. Because, you know, I was one of the areas I had to cut costs on my PC because the only reason I have a PC is because of the pandemic and the whatever they call checks that they sent out. Like I said, I tend to get what I need, not what I want, which includes the time scale on which things happen, timeline on which things happen. But I do usually get them if I need them. I had to not get a motherboard that had Wi-Fi capability, and through whatever combination of events that may or may not have to do with what killed the rest of my PC components, namely, I don't know if horrible electrical setup in this house covers it, but my bathroom, the main bathroom really, my room, the kitchen, at least half of the kitchen, and the living room are all in the same circuit breaker, which is only 25 amps. So that's the microwave, a water heater for like tea and whatnot. It's Japanese, so it plays music when it finishes heating up the water. Yes, of course it does. I suppose that's better than just a succession of loud beeps, but funny of cultural things. I find it entertaining. The bathroom, which admittedly doesn't usually have a lot, but sometimes in the winter my mom likes to put a heater in there because it gets really cold. I think that's weird, but hey. And then, well, I guess also her room and my room are in the same one because if we put in the ACs in the windows, the portable AC units, portable might be the wrong word, but the window AC units, and I have them on at the same time and I'm trying to like do anything on my PC, that shuts off. So that's 5 rooms actually on one 25 amp breaker. It's great. It's fantastic. Of course, we're talking about the same people who cut the joist in the garage So that needs to be fixed at some point, which means completely replacing the roof. Truly, it's a great house. But anyway, sometimes the power just shuts off because too many things going at once, because circuit breaker. Which means that needs to be rewired at some point. And anyway, long story, you didn't need all that info, but autism, so, you know, deal with it. Even when I tried getting a portable Wi-Fi thing, like a little dongle thing that you plug into the PC, whether because the motherboard is slightly borked, or because the motherboard is slightly borked and the USB ports don't work like they're supposed to, it doesn't get a signal. So I can't use that to connect to VTube Studio, so then I can't plug my phone into the outlet and actually charge it, and it doesn't get enough power through my PC because the USB-C slot doesn't work. Yeah, that could have been shorter. That could have been a shorter explanation. Doesn't help noticing after the fact, but I mean, it could have. I won't improve, probably, ever, because that's just how my brain works, but... Hey, by any means, you guys pop in at some point and tell me when I start rambling too much. Or don't. I've been told that my voice sounds nice sometimes. I don't get it, because I'm biased, but I've been told that. Water. We need it. All living things do. Most living things do. And yet I constantly forget to drink it because I get sidetracked. The struggles I've seen and lived, truly. Anyway, that is where I'm gonna call it for today. So, thank you very much for stopping by. I know most of you didn't stick around for a lot of it, but that's fine. It's hard to get people to stick around in a just chatting stream where I'm not doing anything special and there's nothing interested. Like if I was doing a specific thing, that would help, but nah, just talking? You don't care about me because you don't know me. I get that. It makes sense. I'm aware. But it is still nice you took the time to click on it. Sorry you didn't like what you saw. Unless you're being, you know, bigoted, in which case, I don't care. But, due diligence. We have a Discord. That's the YouTube, don't ask. I thought Discord, because I was typing in the Discord next. Or I'm typing in Discord, because of reasons. And that. The Discord is mostly, admittedly, for notifications of when I get live, because y'all are shy as hell and don't type. I say as someone who is also shy as hell and doesn't type, but that's because it's more of a self-confidence thing. I don't have a high value placed on stuff, and I don't want to bother people, because then I feel like I bother people. So it's something to get over. But easier said than done. I also get burned out really quickly with interaction with other people. So, you know. Autism. It's a thing. Maybe someday my social battery will upgrade, but for now it's kind of constantly running on near empty, so yeah, it's not great. I stream Tuesdays and Fridays, generally speaking. That may go up or down depending on the week that I'm having and the amount of stress that I'm dealing with. It is what it is. And yeah, I plan to do more on the main YouTube soon. I know I have a tendency to say things and then stuff changes and I don't do it, but I mean I need to, so it'll happen. There is always the VOD channel, so if you want to just toss that on for random reason. Something for background noise, I suppose. I'll take the view, that's fine. And as always, if you can think of something that I can do better, or just general critique, a critique, mind you, not saying you don't like something without saying why, at the very least, I'd love to hear it, because it's the only way to improve. For now, until next time, hope you enjoy it, and stay awesome. Later, guys. Here's hoping that it actually closes and ends the stream when I hit stop streaming instead of hanging for like 20 minutes. OBS said they fixed this. We'll see if they're correct. Toodles.